Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely. Not as onlookers, but as witnesses to a turning point. The gavel struck, and Judge Thomas dared to challenge my presidency. His words echoed, "Traore is in violation, his mandate illegitimate." He thought it would crush me, but instead it backfired. Judge Thomas, you tried to shake the foundation of my leadership, yet all you did was awaken the soul of Burkina Faso. Your challenge was not contained to a courtroom. It rang out through every village, every city, every home. You believed you would weaken us, but you only strengthened our resolve, and you misjudged the man you targeted. When I rose to lead Burkina Faso, it was never for glory or ambition. It was because my people were suffocating under a system built to keep them in chains. The so-called leaders before me were nothing but puppets. They bowed to Paris, Washington, and Brussels. They let foreign corporations strip our land bare, mine our gold, take our uranium, and leave behind poverty and despair. Our children starved while French cities glowed with the energy stolen from our soil. Tell me, should I have watched in silence? Should I have folded my arms and waited for a savior who would never come? No. I chose to act. You call me a usurper. You call me a strongman. But let's speak plainly. Who truly serves the elites? You, Judge Thomas. You sit in a courtroom, dressed in your robe of authority. But whose interests do you protect? Not mine, not my people's. You protect the multinationals, the foreign financiers, the vultures who drain our land and commodify our people. You accuse me of corruption, yet you work for the very lobbyists who demand legal cover to rob our nation blind. Call it a coup if you wish. Call it illegitimate if it helps you sleep at night. But my people know the truth. Power was not stolen, it was reclaimed. Sovereignty was not destroyed, it was restored. I did not rise to serve foreign masters. I rose to serve my people. And no court in America or anywhere else has the right to deny that. When I seized the reins of power, it was not to oppress, but to liberate. The blood of our ancestors runs through me, and their memory demands that I protect our soil, our water, our gold, our future. What value is a presidency if the lifeblood of our nation is drained to pay foreign debts, to fill reserves in Paris or Washington? No, I stood because silence would have meant betrayal. Because to wait would have been to surrender our heritage and abandon our people. And you speak of legitimacy. Then answer me this: what is legitimacy, if not the will of the people? Legitimacy is the voice of every mother in Ouagadougou, every farmer in the fields of Bobo Dioulasso, every child who dreams of a future free from hunger and exploitation. You govern with paperwork, I govern with people. The day I declared myself president, it was not out of vanity or hunger for power. It came after every other path had been exhausted. The Constitution failed us. The institutions already monopolized failed us. The foreign-backed courts refused us. So I stood, not just for the sovereignty of our state, but for the sovereignty of our spirit. To those who say I acted recklessly, I ask, is it reckless to defend your own house while it's being looted? Better a firm hand than a feeble handshake. Because while elites negotiated in air-conditioned rooms abroad, our assets were being sold off piece by piece. While they staged elections from the comfort of foreign capitals, our minerals were stripped, our wealth siphoned into the pockets of distant investors. That is the true illegitimacy, not the act of standing up, but the act of lying down. Now, under my leadership, we chart a new course. You ask, what is your vision, Mr. President? My vision is one of dignity and ambition. I see Burkina Faso rising not on borrowed money, but on the wealth of its own land. Our gold will fill national vaults, not foreign banks. Our cotton will be refined here, creating jobs for our people, not shipped away for pennies. Our sun, our rivers, our people's ingenuity. These will fuel our growth. I want Burkina Faso to stand as the #1 economy in West Africa. Not from arrogance, but from a duty to restore the dignity that was stolen from us. Judge Thomas, you call me a coup maker, but history will remember differently. When I came to power, our country was bleeding, crushed by debt, trapped in predatory trade deals, crippled by imported poverty. I did not seize power to indulge myself. I seized it so that our nation would not bleed to death. I did not usurp. I reclaimed. I reclaimed our sovereignty, our resources, our right to decide our own destiny. You ask why I chose to lead. You ask as if it were ambition. You are wrong. I did not step forward to taste power. I stepped forward because silence was no longer an option. While we wasted time on protocols and polite procedures, our nation was being stripped in broad daylight. Our wealth carried away. Our people abandoned on soil their ancestors defended with blood. The looting was not going to stop on its own, and I refused to stand idle while my people were strangled into submission. Understand this, the predators were already inside the gates. The IMF, the World Bank, offshore financiers, multinational corporations. They did not come with tanks. They came with contracts, with briefcases, with smooth words hiding poisoned deals. They wore suits instead of uniforms, but their mission was war all the same, an economic war. And they were winning. They told us, this is globalization. They said, this is for your development. And our so-called leaders applauded as they signed agreements that gave away our gold, our copper, our land. We were left with dust, pollution, and empty promises of foreign aid. Were we supposed to clap like fools and call it progress? No. I chose to lead because those before me bowed too easily. They begged in Paris, in Brussels, in Washington. They returned with loans whose interest rates were chains disguised as numbers. And when the money came, it came with strings so tight it strangled generations to come. We built nothing. We owned nothing. On paper, the numbers looked impressive. Growth, foreign investment, stability. But in reality, it was a lie. But what did those glowing numbers hide? They hid hunger. They hid unemployment. They hid children leaving schools with no roofs, mothers dying in childbirth, hospitals without medicine, farmers stripped of their land, streets left in darkness and hope gasping for air. That's what you won't find in their glossy economic reports. So yes, I chose to lead, not because I wanted a palace, but because silence became unbearable. I could not face our elders, the ones who sacrificed everything for independence, and tell them that we were still colonized, only under a new name. Judge Thomas, what you defend is not law, it is economic slavery. You call my presidency illegal. But tell me, was it ever legal to sell the soul of a nation for a temporary seat at the table of its exploiters? I did not rise to be polite. I rose because we were being robbed. And the thieves came dressed as partners, their smiles masking plunder. They studied how easily we surrendered. They saw how softly our leaders spoke. Every time we tried to nationalize our resources, every time we questioned an unfair deal, they threatened us with the same warning. You will scare away investors. Investors, a word that has become a code for those who take everything and leave us with nothing. I sat through their meetings, read their reports, listened to their promises of aid. Aid that came only if we stayed quiet, stayed compliant. Don't nationalize your resources. It sends the wrong signal. The wrong signal to whom? To the thieves. Don't regulate too heavily, or you'll lose foreign interest. Interest in what? Exploitation. Don't speak of sovereignty, it's outdated. Outdated? Then tell me, if sovereignty is obsolete, what are we but tenants in our own homeland? So yes, I chose to rule. I chose to shatter the polite silence of servitude. I chose to stand where others sat, because there comes a time when refusing to act is itself betrayal. Silence in the face of economic plunder is complicity, and I will not be complicit in the theft of our children's future. They say, hey, broke the rules. I ask who wrote those rules, who benefits from them, who enforces them. When the law becomes a shield for thieves and a weapon against the poor, then breaking it is not a crime. It is an obligation. This was never about lust for power. It was about reclaiming what was stolen. Our gold belongs to us, not to shareholders in Toronto or Zurich. Our uranium belongs to us, not to corporate boardrooms in Europe. Our farmland belongs to our people, not to foreign agro-tycoons signing false contracts in hotel suites. The oil under our soil, the fish in our rivers, the very air above us, all of it is ours. And until I stood here, no one dared to speak it with conviction. Understand this, the international order is not neutral. It was built to favor those who already control everything. And when a nation like ours, small, proud, determined, dares to rise, they brand us as unstable, authoritarian, populist. Why? Because we refuse to die quietly. Because we refuse to be ruled from abroad. Let me make myself clear. I will never apologize for loving my country more than I fear their criticism. I will never kneel before the architects of our poverty. I chose to lead because someone had to say enough. Someone had to draw the line. Someone had to pick up the torch once carried by Sankara, by Lumumba, men who knew that justice without sovereignty is a lie. You speak of democracy, Judge Thomas. But what democracy exists when foreign powers choose our leaders, bankroll our media, dictate our economy, and steal our future? That is not democracy. It is puppetry, and I will never be anyone's puppet. I answer only to my people and to history. I chose to lead because I saw what waiting for someone else to save us brings. Nothing. I saw the empty promises, the endless treaties, the reforms that led nowhere. And I asked myself, if not now, when? If not us, who? So, Judge Thomas, to you and to the world, I say this. I do not apologize. I do not retreat. I do not doubt the path I have taken. It is not a road of comfort, but of purpose. It is not an easy road, but it is the right one. And as long as I draw breath, I will stand firm for Burkina Faso, for our dignity, for our independence, not just written on paper, but alive in our soil, in our economy, in the very soul of our people. That is why I chose to lead. My people deserve a president who fears God, but does not fear his people. Do not mistake my words. I do not use God as a shield or a slogan, but as the source of my accountability. My allegiance is to something higher than ambition or institutions built on corruption. After God, my loyalty belongs to my people. Only to them. Not to foreign powers, not to bureaucrats in echo chambers, not to cowards signing away our inheritance in secret rooms, and certainly not to men like you, Judge Thomas, who mistake procedure for principle and silence for peace. I fear no foreign power. Let that be clear, not whispered in corners, but declared in the open. I fear no nation, no agency, no international body that believes it can impose its will on us because our economy is small or our debts are heavy. Those debts were built by criminals in suits. Those systems were designed not to help us, but to keep us chained, to hold us hostage in our own land. And to those who try to use our dependency as a weapon, I say this: our soul is not for sale, not for dollars, not for euros, not for any currency. Our sovereignty is not a bargaining chip. It is our birthright. I fear no domestic weakling hiding behind titles, men whose only skill is cutting deals beneath tables while pretending to serve the people. These men who survive by surrendering, who wear patriotism on their sleeves while filling their pockets with foreign favors, they disgust me. They are not leaders. They are brokers in betrayal, and history will not honor them as statesmen, but expose them as footnotes in the downfall we refuse to allow. What do I fear then? I fear weakness, the kind that creeps into institutions and convinces nations to accept injustice as routine. I fear the weakness that smiles while chains tighten, the weakness that teaches our children to dream small, to stay quiet, to leave their homeland if they want a future. I fear the erosion of pride, because when pride is lost, the will to fight dies, and when the will to fight dies, freedom slips away in silence. They trained our judges in foreign capitals. They returned wearing gowns of imported justice, fluent in laws they never wrote, loyal to systems they dare not question. And now they sit in courtrooms quoting clauses as if they were sacred scripture, enforcing justice written in the language of our former masters. But let me be clear, I do not fear these courtrooms. They can draft verdicts, issue summons, recite laws, but I do not recognize their moral authority over a struggle they never shared. A courtroom that ignores the cries of the people is not a house of justice. It is a theater of illusion. And I do not fear the declarations of foreign capitals. Whether they come from Paris, Washington, London, or Brussels, let them write what they wish. Let them call me a dictator. Let them freeze accounts, issue travel bans, threaten sanctions. They have done it before, and they will do it again. But I did not come to power to win their approval. I came to restore what they tried to erase. Our dignity, our control, our right to live free of permission from those who once enslaved us. now dressed in the polite language of diplomacy. Yet there is one thing I do fear deeply and without shame. I fear the loss of hope among my people. I fear the day Burkina Faso stops believing in itself. A people who no longer dream, who no longer believe change is possible. A youth who look to the sea instead of the soil. That is my nightmare. That is what keeps me awake. Because when hope dies, revolutions end. Movements collapse. Even truth loses its voice. Hope is our final weapon, and I fear the day it falls silent. That is why I came to power boldly, not timidly. I did not creep in through backroom deals or whispered negotiations. I came with purpose, because our nation had reached a breaking point. We were circling the drain, selling our future drop by drop under the illusion of development. Our budgets dictated abroad, our priorities written by consultants who never walked our streets, our resources priced in foreign hands, our youth told to be patient while their futures burned to ash. Enough. Our ancestors did not fight colonialism just to trade one master for another. They did not bleed so that we could live quietly under the boot of global financiers. They held this land with ferocity, not for land's sake, but for life, for identity, for the right to build without asking permission. And I will hold this presidency with that same ferocity. Because this presidency is not mine. It is a promise. A promise to those who died resisting the first invaders. A promise to those who marched for independence, who organized by candlelight, who spoke when speaking was punished. A promise to the children of this soil who still believe, despite everything, that greatness is possible here, not only elsewhere. I will not let them down. And to those who still doubt, who wait to see if I will bend, I say this: I am not here to manage decay. I am here to reverse it. I am not here to negotiate with thieves. I am here to expose them. I am not here to be liked. I am here to lead. And if that makes some uncomfortable, good. Real change should be uncomfortable. Revolution is not a dinner party. It is a reckoning. Let the world hear it. Burkina Faso is no one's experiment. We are not a charity case. We are not a market. We are not a puppet regime waiting for a foreign hand to pull the strings. We are a nation with history, strength, and unmatched resilience. This presidency is a fire lit in the dark, and it will not be extinguished by foreign reports, by biased news, or by cowardly judges with borrowed loyalties. It will burn, and it will guide us forward. I fear God. I fear the disappointment of my people. But beyond that, I fear nothing. And I will not stop until we walk tall again, not as a shadow of what we once were, but as a beacon of what we must become. So I ask, who will stand with me? Because those who still believe we are stepchildren of the world will have no place in this movement. We are the rightful heirs of this soil. We will process our resources here. We will manufacture here. We will build here. We will educate here. We will decide here. The intimidation of Judge Thomas only accelerated us. His courtroom spectacle forced us to unite, to remember that our collective will is stronger than any decree. He thought law was just paper. But here, law is the heartbeat of the people. He tried to challenge me and only fueled my mandate. Understand this: I did not rise to power to be gentle. I did not rise to negotiate our decline or polish the status quo. I rose to challenge, to disrupt, to rebuild, to shine. And I will not apologize for saying it openly, without diplomatic masks to comfort those who prefer quiet servitude over righteous struggle. This is not the season for gentleness. Gentleness is a luxury for nations at peace, for societies that have secured their freedom. We are not there yet, and I refuse to pretend otherwise. I did not rise to comfort the comfortable. I rose to awaken the silenced. Do you know what it means to negotiate your own decline? To smile while your wealth is signed away. To watch foreign consultants lecture our ministers with numbers and models that never accounted for our land, our people, our soul. That is what previous governments accepted. They normalized it. They negotiated our poverty. They signed documents that chained our growth, capped our budgets, dictated how much food we could grow, how many schools we could build, how much life our people were allowed to live. They were not leaders. They were managers of decline. The status quo, this rotting structure of foreign aid, corrupt alliances, and silent suffering. I spit on it. I did not rise to wear fine suits, sit in empty meetings, and tell my people that progress is complicated. I did not rise to watch corporations drill into our land and leave only scars. I did not rise to raise flags over buildings we do not own, in a country we barely control, in an economy built for everyone but us. I rose to challenge, to say enough, to ask the questions no one else dared. Why are our people poor in a land so rich? Why are our farmers starving on fertile soil? Why do our youth risk drowning in the sea instead of living in their own country? Why do we export gold and import hunger? Who profits from our suffering? Who designed this trap? I rose not to tweak or politely reform this system, but to rip it from its foundations. And I will not apologize for being loud, forceful, direct. When a house is burning, you do not whisper about safety. You shout, you break windows, you throw water with everything you have, and make no mistake, Burkina Faso was burning spiritually, economically, politically, and the same people who lit the fire now dare to blame the man holding the hose. Let them talk. Let commentators abroad sit in comfort and call me a radical, a disruptor, a strongman. They do not know what it means to rebuild after decades of betrayal. They do not know the pain of mothers burying children not from war, but from preventable disease. They do not walk on roads where ambulances cannot reach the dying. They do not drink the dirty water or stand in endless lines for medicine. They do not dig in our soil only to be told the profits belong elsewhere. I rose to rebuild, not with foreign blueprints, but with our own hands, our own minds, our own vision. We are not a charity case. We are not a warehouse for raw materials. We are not apprentices of the West. We will build industries that process what we grow and mine. We will educate engineers, doctors, and teachers who stay, not flee. We will restore confidence in our institutions, not by outsourcing them, but by reclaiming them. We will root out corruption, not only the petty theft, but the betrayal that signs away our future. We will restructure this economy to serve our people, not markets, not investors, not foreign shareholders who have never set foot on our soil. We will rebuild what they said was too broken, too far gone, too complicated. They call it impossible. Good. That means it's worth doing. And yes, we will shine. We will rise from the shadows, not just as a country surviving, but as a country thriving. I see a Burkina Faso that leads, not begs. That trades on equal terms, not desperate ones. That walks into international halls with pride, not submission. I see our children reading history books where our names are no longer skipped, where they learn of their own heroes, not just those imported from abroad. I see a people standing tall, their eyes forward, their hands building, not begging. This is not fantasy, it is necessity. And I will not be deterred. I will not be gentle with those who steal our future. I will not be soft with institutions that crush our potential. I will not be silent in the face of injustice, even if it comes wrapped in legal language or draped in a foreign flag. This is a revolution, not of violence, but of will. A revolution of reclaiming what is ours. A declaration to the world we are here. We are awake. We will no longer be ruled by your fear or your funds. To those trapped in the thinking of the past, step aside. To those who prefer stability in chains over freedom with sacrifice, move back. To those waiting for permission to be great, wake up, because I am not here to whisper change. I am here to declare it, and that declaration will shake boardrooms, rattle embassies, unsettle the comfortable, and ignite the forgotten. This is why I rose to power, not for approval, but for truth, not for tradition, but transformation, not for permission, but for power. Power of the people, by the people, for the people. I did not rise to be part of the system. I rose to rebuild it from the ground up. And no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets, I will not stop until Burkina Faso shines. Imagine solar farms across the sail-powering cities, farms, schools, and clinics. Imagine gold mined ethically, its profits reinvested here. Imagine cotton processed in Bobo Dioulasso, factories employing thousands, not fields stripped bare for export with nothing left behind. Imagine universities teaching agronomy, engineering, medicine, graduating leaders who stay, not leave. That is the Burkina Faso I fight for. Judge Thomas, you sit in your courtroom and glare at me through legalese. But I stand in the streets, the fields, the markets, surrounded by voices. Voices with names, dreams, families. Voices that say enough. Voices that demand dignity. So issue your rulings. Send your summons. But know this, I will answer with courage, conviction, and purpose. I will not back down. My presidency is not written in pages. It beats in pulses. It is the heartbeat of Burkina Faso rising. You call me a coup maker. Then I accept that label before I ever accept being branded a phantom of foreign interests. If it is a coup to end the selling of our future, then I will wear that name with pride. I will be a coup maker if it means land for our farmers, jobs for our youth, and sovereignty for our children. My presidency is not just my name. It is your turn, your chance, your awakening. I fight not for myself, but for every woman who toils, every student who yearns, every worker who sweats, every elder who still hopes. So let Judge Thomas speak. Let the accusations fly. Let the whispers of doubt and the shouts of criticism come. I welcome them. Every word against me feeds the fire of change. Every decree, every insult, every ruling, they do not weaken me. They strengthen the resolve of a people who are done being pawns of foreign powers and a self-serving elite. Do you see the difference, Judge Thomas? While some hide in the comfort of wealth and influence, I stand among the people. I hear their cries. I feel their struggles. And that is why no accusation, no threat, no attempt to strip me of legitimacy can shake my mission. The more you try to silence me, the louder our collective voice grows. Every attempt to undermine me only sharpens the will of those who believe we can stand on our own feet. You can issue rulings and wield your office, but your power is hollow against the courage of a nation that refuses to kneel. Authority can be demanded in gilded chambers, but respect is earned in the streets. And here, among my people, it is respect that matters. I am not defined by fear. I am not diminished by condemnation. Every critique clarifies who I am. Not a dictator, but a liberator. I am the man who saw our resources looted, our wealth stolen, our sovereignty betrayed, and said enough. I refuse to watch as others treated our land as a commodity. That is why this struggle is righteous. That is why this mission is just. They call me a usurper. They call me reckless. They call me dangerous. But history will not remember me by their labels. History will remember me by the deeds I perform for my people. I did not take leadership for fame or fortune. I did not take it to indulge in power. I took it because our nation demanded courage, because our people deserve a voice that cannot be bought, a vision that cannot be stolen, a hand that cannot be chained. So hear me, Judge Thomas, and all who oppose every attempt to weaken me only makes clearer the truth I serve. You may define power by wealth and influence. I define it by justice, dignity, and the unshakable duty to put my nation first. I see the forces against us, those who profit from our poverty, who thrive on our divisions, who fear a continent that rises without permission. And yet I do not falter. I do not bow, I do not yield, because true legitimacy is not granted by courts or by global elites. It is earned in the fields, in the classrooms, in the markets, and in the hearts of the people who dare to hope. So speak, Judge Thomas. Challenge me if you must. But know this, my authority does not rest in your rulings. It rests in the will of my people. Let the world witness this clash of ideals. Let history decide between those who cling to power and those who fight for freedom. Every decree you issue, every word you speak against me, every attempt to strip away my authority does not weaken me. It exposes corruption and strengthens what is just. You may believe your power is absolute, but it is fleeting. My purpose is not. I am not afraid. I am not intimidated. I am the voice of the silenced, the hand of the shackled, the heart of the abandoned. I stand firm because I know our path is righteous. Every step I take, every choice I make is for the future of our nation, for the dignity of our people, and for the promise that we will no longer be spectators in the story of our own land. So let Judge Thomas speak. Let the world watch. Because with every accusation, with every challenge, with every attempt to halt this movement, you are not stopping us. You are forging a people more determined, more united, more fearless. And when the noise of the critics fades, History will not remember their words. It will remember the deeds of a people who chose courage over comfort, integrity over indulgence, and freedom over submission. I am not a dictator. I am a liberator. I do not serve elites. I serve my people. And no judgment, no decree, no challenge, however heavy, can erase the truth. Freedom, justice, and self-determination will prevail. This moment is the turning point. Either we allow foreign courts to script our destiny, or we script it ourselves. I choose the latter. I choose us. Burkina Faso rising, not for the few, but for every drop of sweat, every dream, every future. That is my presidency. That is our struggle. And together, we will see it through.